to Football Tonight. We welcome you with Lorraine Cortines again here to talk about football. Do your little. Yeah, there you go. Now you got the guns. Before you had the boxing technique going 1-2, 1-2. Man, what's happening? What's happening over there in San Diego, California?
Todo bueno
Mm,
in San Diego, California.
San Diego's going
Just
down.
just hanging in there. I'm licking my wounds after the Carabao Cup loss to your beloved Newcastle United. But I just saw the score and I felt sad. But then I watched the actual game and I was like, man, Newcastle sucks.
What do you
And then
mean?
I thought, oh, the first half City were so good with a bunch of there was a guy called Oscar Bob that you guys couldn't get the ball off of. So very dominant performance. That's where I wanted to start with just the Carabao Cup and our beloved teams going against each other for the second time. You guys got the win on a really just Oscar, Alexander Isak, when he feels like scoring goals, he's really a real crack player. The Latino term for crack, just a player who just makes stuff happen. He's got the magic in him. And he just dribbled through with help from Joe Linton. City couldn't cope with it in that moment. And games are about moments. And I
Yep.
think City, without Holland, without some of their more creative players, I mean, it wasn't no names. It was, really good players still. But City just couldn't get a goal going. They couldn't score. They just couldn't find that cutting edge moment. And that's just from players who don't play together. I thought Doku came in the second half and terrified you. I know he did because he terrifies me. Guy's awesome.
Doug was wild.
Yeah, the dude is good. But just no cutting edge. And City just, Alvarez had a few shots here and there, just couldn't score a goal. And, good for you, Newcastle. You move on. City are out of a competition they don't really want to be in.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. See, we're about to. I'm checking on this. I'm making sure the sound is good. Don't interrupt because when you say that, I have to freaking interrupt. Don't be a sort of loser. Don't be that type of guy that we
I'm
didn't
not
want
a
to be
sore
in it
loser.
anyway.
I'm not a
We
sore
didn't want to
loser.
be in it. Newcastle did what they had to do in the right moments at the right time. City. I mean, I'll probably go to the stats here in a minute because I want to remember how many times City actually hit.
Didn't take a lot of shots. Only
It,
2 shots on target, but a lot of control and dominance. Like
yeah,
from a perspective of City had 709 passes to
yeah, you're right about that.
Newcastle's 339. So in terms of control and what it looked like, for me, the first half was a lot of dominance, a lot of
Right,
control, but not much going on. Like City were just kind of almost like a cat playing with a toy, just not really doing anything. But they
right.
were controlling the game, and Newcastle couldn't really get close to City, really. I mean, honestly,
No,
it's not. Yeah,
obviously you can tell City had the ball. He had
yeah.
the control of the game. I always know. Listen, I'm not a. I don't always use possession as a
No,
key thing,
it's not everything.
but in certain situations, you to control the game, I feel like you have to have the ball. So now you can have the ball, and it's technically in your court for you to decide. I guess you can say. However, when you're solid defensively, like Newcastle were,
Yeah,
then
they're good.
then you have issues where they don't penetrate.
Hmm.
But I think this is a big win for Newcastle, and I'm not
It's a
gonna
good
go.
win. No, it's not. It's
Yeah,
not a bad win. I'm not like shitting on
right.
Newcastle.
No, no, yeah, yeah.
It's just I don't think that Newcastle. But I will give them this. They did in the second half recognize that there were problems. They did bring on Gordon. They did bring on Guimaraes Bruno, and within 10 minutes of that, they get the goal. So it just was about like they don't have depth yet. They don't have players that can play with City. And once they went to their more quality players, they were able to cause more problems to City. Like in that
Yeah.
first half, Anderson and the young kid Oates Hall or Hall, whatever, they're just not good enough yet. But I mean, this is what the League Cup is for, especially in the early rounds. You kind of get some funkiness, you get some results, and if you win and you with your squad depth, and you can move on, and you kind of ramp it up in the semifinals, or if you play a big team, or if you have the depth at the moment. But City are injured right now. City just came off they have the Rodri red card, so they didn't want to push too hard, but a good result. Players got to play. Good for Newcastle, but nothing. The League Cup, the Carabao Cup is It's great if you win it. It makes a difference if you're a team that doesn't have opportunities. Like, it was great for Newcastle last year to get to that final. It was good for Ten Hag to win it, but it's not the kind of thing that you lose sleep over losing, honestly.
Right.
It's nice to win, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and then on other results, I don't know
Do you want me
who
to do my
else.
results
Yeah,
dance? I
yeah,
can do
yeah.
my
Go ahead.
results dance.
Go ahead.
Put them on the clock. Here we go. All right, I'm going to start at the top and go through the whole thing. The great and powerful Burnley go to Salford City in a local derby. Phil Neville and Gary Neville and David Beckham's Salford City that they own lose to Burnley, so Vincent Kompany gets another win over the Reds. Exeter City puts the upset of the freaking tournament on down a man. They win 1-0 against Luton Town, who are barely a Premier League team, in the game of the round. Ipswich Town defeats the mighty Wolves 3-2. The Tractor Boys get it done. Mansfield Town wins on penalties. I don't know much about Mansfield Town or Peterborough or where they are. Middlesbrough, last in the championship, get through against Bradford City. Port Vale defeats Sutton United. I don't know who these teams are, but they are very excited, and Port Vale is a fun name. The mighty, powerful Reds of Manchester do defeat Crystal Palace at home in another good performance with Garnacho, Casemiro, and Anthony Martial all getting on the board. They can be very, very happy about that. So 2 wins in a row for the great and powerful United. Liverpool put on a second half performance against Leicester City at home. First half was not good. They were down a goal by Casey McAtee, but Gakpo, Slobozai, Jota, all great goals, all put Leicester City away. Leicester is still very, very good, but Liverpool show their class. Whenever they want to, they can score goals. The great and powerful Blackburn Rovers 5-2 versus Cardiff at their home park, at Ewood Park. Good stuff from Blackburn. They're a team that I watch in the championship. The Lincoln City Imps, famous for cup runs, go home early this time. West Ham getting it done. The great and powerful Chelsea beat my beloved Brighton 1-0.
They finally got a win.
They finally got a win. Nico Jackson with the goal. But again, Brighton were dominant in this one, but Chelsea will feel good about the chances they created. They only had 40% possession. Brighton played their game, just didn't get the goals. Some mistakes by Sanchez really worrisome for Chelsea. I don't think he's a great keeper. The great and powerful Bournemouth defeats Stoke City. Arsenal win against Brentford, but Brentford dominated this game, taking 18 shots, 4 on target, but Reece Nelson gets the goal early, and Arsenal hang on. I always like Brentford. I'm never worried about them. The great and powerful Everton defeat Aston Villa away from home. What the hell's going on? Calvert-Lewin scores, and the great and powerful James Garner scores a goal. James Garner is a really good player. If you watch Everton, keep an eye on him. He's a good crosser of the ball. He will become an important player for them. Fulham defeat Norwich City 2-1. They still can't score goals, but Carlos Vinicius got one, and Iwobi, so they're looking good there. Interesting matchups for the next round, and then we can go on to the actual Premier League week. Your beloved Manchester United will play Newcastle away from home on Halloween Eve. Everton, Burnley, Liverpool pick up Bournemouth, Arsenal versus West Ham at the London Stadium, and a bunch of others with Fulham picking up Ipswich Town and a couple of other lower league teams. So good stuff from the Carabao Cup and a fun week involved. Big matchup there. Newcastle versus Manchester United on Halloween.
On Halloween, baby. Is that at St. James's Park? You said yes, right?
No, it's at Old Trafford.
Oh, no, yes, it's at Old. Damn it. Man, that would have been amazing for my my take on St. James's Park is like a cemetery.
You can't lose.
It's like a cemetery.
Yeah,
it's all gray and black with the crow and just like, you know what I mean? It's just like Halloween. It's like,
it's very like, Halloween. Yes.
It's like you got fog all over. Yeah, I love it. And the one of the names of the entrance, the Gallow Gates, Hollow Gates, or something like
the Gallowgate End. The Gallowgate End.
I mean, that's just you can't tell me that they didn't do this on purpose. I mean, they just
they should put spider webs all over it.
Spider webs all over it. Yeah.
Skeletons.
I mean, it would be incredible. Now that would be incredible, man. But Halloween, Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween.
That's next month.
Yeah, the game is next month.
Okay.
right? Because it's Carabao Cup. It's a cup competition.
The car. Okay, I thought you were talking about the Premier League. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, no, no. The next
Yeah, I
game
was about
is
to say.
the next game
Damn.
is Saturday.
Okay, so well, we can give a little bit of. By the way, we are live on the AMP app and on the radio station. Of course, you already know football tonight at 19 hours, 7 p.m. o'clock. We are live with Laurent, but we gotta give some love to the other teams. Of course, not everybody played with the U15 under 15 teams. Everybody got all their little kids out there playing.
Yeah.
So I think since everybody was doing that, I think that I mean it leveled the playing field, I guess, with the smaller teams. How I don't know. How, I need to look at Arsenal's lineup. I didn't really check that out, but
They didn't play the U15s, but guys who haven't been getting run for sure. They sort of
but
play their
this yes,
second
but
second
still,
second team.
but see, Manchester City did that, and they still were. It's the same type of team. They might not win. They might not perform well. However, it's the same type of play,
Hmm, hmm.
and I feel like that's the way things should be. I don't like when people like I was kind of upset at what Eddie Howe had been saying previous to the match, complaining about playing in the middle of the week, playing Sunday, Saturday,
You
next
got to be a big
Wednesday.
team. You got to put your big boy pants on.
Exactly. You have to. That's nonsense. That's nonsense, man. You know what I mean? If you want to be a big club, you want to play with the big boys. Shut the hell up and go and play.
It's
That's
the
as
other
simple as that.
the other thing that I get frustrated with the managers who complain about the schedule, and they all do it. It's Klopp,
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mourinho. They all complain about the schedule. It's not like they don't know what the schedule is. Like they
Exactly.
know.
They
It's
know,
not a surprise.
but they complain right before the match. Like, what are
I
you
know.
supposed to like? It's so dumb. You can't doesn't
Now,
change nothing.
has there been a steady increase in games over the last 10,
Yeah,
15 years? Yes, and I think that's probably a problem. I think it got to the point last season because Manchester United had to play in all these qualifying games to make it to the Europa League. I think Manchester United played the most games of any team ever. I think they played 68 games or something absurd, like a crazy number that you're just like, that's too many games. In
yeah,
4 months, they played 68 games with a World Cup in between. No wonder they ran out of gas.
right.
Um, and so, it is true, but, these are not surprises, right? You should know.
Yeah, you shouldn't waste time
Yeah, don't
and
even give the energy because if you give players an excuse, they'll take it.
that's 100%. I 100% agree with that because now these how are these players supposed to go perform? I feel like your manager is everything, and you listen to your manager. Right, you're putting your socks on, and they got TVs everywhere, and the manager's complaining, basically saying, "I got to play these bum ass players now because I can't." You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense, man. Just and like again, I'm over here trying to uh, make Newcastle be the biggest team in England, and Eddie Howe brings me down like a damn fly. Like that's stop that nonsense, Now so my point was though, obviously Chelsea finally got a win, so now it seems like they won the Champions League after sucking for the whole year, the whole 6 matches,
Mhm.
and so I will kind of give them a small pass, even though I mean they play against Brighton, they beat Brighton. That's a big
That's a
big
big
deal.
boy win. Mhm.
Now Arsenal, on the other hand, you mentioned that Brentford were giving them the business, and I can't allow that. That shouldn't happen. Uh, I don't know. I just don't feel like
I,
that sounds right.
I think they've got to pick their battles, right? Like EFL Cup is the if there's a priority, Champions
Yeah,
League, the
right.
league, the
FA
FA
Cup,
Cup, the Carabao Cup.
hundred
So
percent.
it's the fourth priority. I'm not going to get mad at teams for losing games at this level. I mean, it's just where you are in your cycle, right? Like Swansea several years ago, about 10 years ago now, won the League Cup. And that was a big deal for that club. They were a mid table, had been promoted in the last 3 years. Winning the League Cup is a massive event for a club like that. I hate to be mean to Spurs, but Spurs have not won a trophy since 2008, and it was the League Cup. If Spurs were to win the League Cup, they'd be over the moon. It would be a big, big deal. City were into it at first when Pep first came, and and
They won.
and they
Okay.
kept changing, and they won 4 in a row. And now Pep's like, you know what? I don't need to win this. So I think Arteta is probably prioritizing the league, prioritizing the Premier League, the Champions League, and just going, this game's coming at a time that I'm less interested in. If I get the win, good. If I don't, fine. They got the win, they move on. I do get upset at teams like Brentford or like West Ham. Well, the West Ham's in Europe, but like Brentford, like Newcastle, these teams that are, if you're a lower half or a lower club in the Premier League, the reason this competition exists is so that you have something to win. So go try and win it. I know why these cup competitions are not a priority, because literally the the money from finishing in in eighth versus ninth is more than the money you win from winning this cup. But it's about those moments of lifting a trophy. So try not to think pragmatically. Be a romantic. Go pick up the silverware. The League Cup trophy is fun. It's got 3 hands. It's
I mean,
kind of
it's a
a funny
cup.
little trophy.
It's a trophy nonetheless. I know. I understand that the name doesn't sound like it would be in English.
It's the League Cup. It's been
A
around
cup,
since
but
the 50s. Yeah.
well, I don't think it's been called Carabao.
No, it used to be the Coca-Cola Cup. It's had many, many names.
yeah. So I think we need to be put. And I'm a traditionalist, man. England is for English people, or UK, whatever you want to call it. Let's just keep it simple. I mean, I don't want to get in a battle with different people, but just
By the
put
way,
the
by the way,
Queen Elizabeth Cup
you
or
you
something.
won't you won't like the reason this cup exists. You're gonna laugh. So I happen to.
I'm sure it's somebody
It's
bringing money in.
no. It's the stupidest reason in the whole world. So prior to the 1950s, this tournament did not exist. But when they all started installing lights and they saw what the European Cup was doing in Europe, and England was not in the first couple, they installed lights. The owners of the teams are like, hey, how about we have a tournament for midweeks so that people can come to the games after work?
Oh
And
wow.
so you get this tournament in the middle of the week at night to make more money, right? But it didn't exist. The big tournaments, FA Cup and the league, those were the two big ones for England for 100 years. Then you have the European Cup comes in after the war in the 50s, and they start figuring it out, like, hey, how do we do this? How do we try and make this happen? And it slowly grows from there. And the League Cup, England is the only country that has this extra tournament. No other country has this weird midweek extra tournament that ends in February. So just a little
Yeah.
bit of history there. I like to follow along with these things. But my friend, we have Premier League action this
Right.
weekend, and we need to get into the big games.
What do we got this weekend?
The biggest game is Spurs versus Liverpool. Another moment. We
Another
talked
tough.
about it briefly on Monday, but
Yeah.
just what does it mean? How do we see it going down? Where what are the moments that what are the things that we got to look at, think about, just in terms of where Spurs are? Again, I think it's another moment for Spurs to see where they are. This is the Saturday late game. I guess 12:30 Pacific to Eastern time, 9:30 here on the West Coast. Spurs at home, relatively injury free, no Reds. Liverpool comes off of scoring 3 goals a game for like the last, seems like every week they score 3 goals after going down a goal. But now they have a test, and Spurs
Well,
have a test.
now they passed a big test last weekend, and this could be the cherry on top to say, look,
We're here.
Tottenham is here for the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
listen, all these teams we're going to talk about, they're always a step behind Manchester City. So don't take it, you know what I'm saying? But
Well, I mean, Liverpool have mostly been
well, no,
rivals.
what I'm trying to say though is that okay, but you got to count just the same as I would say it's a good test for Tottenham. Then Liverpool also has to say, if Liverpool comes and wins like they've been doing, then you can say, okay, you know where Spurs look like they're at, and you definitely know where Liverpool looks like they're at, which is more than likely below City. What I'm saying is that this is going to be a game where you kind of gauge, where Tottenham could. I'm not saying Tottenham is better than Liverpool or obviously better than City, but you got to count them to be up there fighting. So because if not, then what are we waiting for? United is not good, so what are we going to wait to? They already played. they got to play Chelsea. I mean,
Hmm.
but Chelsea's no good. So
Hmm.
what is the test? Arsenal, Liverpool, and when they play City, I think those are
Yep.
the three
Hmm.
clubs that they have to beat.
Yep.
So that's what I would
I've
say.
got some stats on the game. You ready?
Okay,
Okay. Tottenham have only won one of their last 21 Premier League games against Liverpool. So the 6 draws, 14 losses since a 4-1 win at Wembley when they were rebuilding Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in October of 2017. So recent history not on their side. Liverpool have scored at least once in their last 15 home games against Spurs, but they've only kept 2 clean sheets in that run. So we've had a lot of scores in these games. And Liverpool are currently on a 17-game unbeaten streak in the Premier League. That's 10 games longer than any other teams.
but
Arsenal and Spurs are on 7 to start this season. Their last defeat came against my beloved Manchester City 4-1 back in April. And only City have earned more points since their last loss back then. Spurs are looking to start a 7-game unbeaten run for just a third time, and if Ange gets this one, he could be the second manager to go unbeaten to start his career with Spurs. Conte being the last one. But
well,
on the good side, Liverpool keep giving up goals away from home. Newcastle and Wolves, and they do seem to give up the first goal over and over again. So we'll see what happens with Spurs at Anfield. We're getting to learn new things about these teams.
to be fair though, they didn't have a good record going to play Arsenal in their home either.
That's true.
So
It's
and
an
I
it's
think
a right. Everything from the past doesn't matter. It's only what
yeah,
happens now. It's
yeah.
anecdote. It's stories.
So
Right.
no, it's always good to have that information because if it happens often, it's for a reason too. You know what I mean? Obviously. So it's
Yeah.
just you
Mentality.
just gotta
Mentality.
now. So City playing Wolves that should be fine.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. That should be
I
easy.
think that what we mentioned Tottenham and Liverpool is the match of the week. We got
Hmm.
Newcastle Burnley. Newcastle needs to just make a solid game, do what they need to do, and win that game.
Oh,
If
you know
they
what? You know what game I'll be watching? Aston Villa versus Brighton. It's the two greatest
yeah,
coaches in the league. Emery
well,
versus De Zerbi.
whatever. Whatever. We're going to talk about this Derby in a minute. Arsenal, Bournemouth. That should be also, a cake for Arsenal.
Away from home. These are not easy games. The
Uh,
Premier League is tough. I'm telling you.
that's what Argentinians say about their league. So Patronato playing against Boca Juniors and making them it just whatever. Now, United with Crystal Palace. I'm not. Yeah, listen, Crystal
They
Palace
just
is
played each other, which makes it tricky.
yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
now they know each other. So
Hmm.
I mean, Crystal Palace is no juggernaut, but I would assume that these matches that are must win for United might become a little more difficult. As
Yeah. I did like what I saw. I did like seeing Maguire playing with Varane.
Maguire
That
needs
was
to be a starter,
interesting.
man.
I
Come on.
think he's good enough to play. I think that Ten
Uh,
Hag's got to stop with the I don't play him because you don't play right. You don't have options. Play the most talented players, right? And if
okay.
he's not, and if he has a problem with a certain thing,
Yeah.
don't accentuate the weaknesses of your players. Be a good coach and accentuate the skills the players you have, not what they don't do, but what they can do. And Harry Maguire can do some things. He's not, you bought him for $80 million for a reason. He has
Okay. So
talent.
so let's jump into it. And one of our topics today for
Mm.
this show is we got to dive inside Ten Hag's battle to control Manchester United's dressing room. It obviously seems like Ten Hag has sort of an issue, right? Like because okay, either all these players are out of control, or Ten Hag is just nitpicking.
Mm.
You can see there either way. You're not in favor of CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo. I understand that. You have an agenda against him. I get that.
Me or Ten Hag?
No, you and Ten Hag both. So you're not gonna say nothing good about him. But so Maguire? I understand that. Listen, if we really get in that, these are football players, top football players. I understand that some of them make mistakes, some of them are better than others, but Maguire he's not a limp. He can kick a ball. So and he's a center back. So for this team, like you said, why not just put him in? Then you got another one, Sancho. Then you got well, Anthony could be an unrelated situation or related, but
The
so
Greenwood thing was a mess
well, yeah,
in the
that
locker room because Ten Hag wanted him to play, and the club kind
but you
of
s-
just dropped the
but
ball on that,
but see
or didn't have the strength to be like, we're playing him.
but see that kind of that might even prove my point. If you're such a strong, stern leader, if you are somebody that goes by the rules, if you're somebody that the team is above everyone else, why would you want to put somebody that's been questioned to have have done one of the most atrocious things a human being can do?
I agree.
That should be so. But you put foot, but you trying to okay, this is going to benefit me on the weekends,
Yeah,
so I'm going to put that aside. But whenever Sancho shows up late,
yeah,
who Sancho is no angel, I know that, then you blast them on social media. You
yeah.
blast them because I can't believe I've been listening to English pundits. All I mean, obviously I do every day, but they point out Sancho going out on social media a lot, which could have been the wrong thing. I mean, obviously, you when you do things as men, you go to their face and you talk to them straight face and tell them why would you do that? Like, why would you call me? But Ten Hag called him out in front of everybody in every
But we don't. But
media
we
outlet.
don't know what happened before.
Okay,
We're the assumption is
right.
that
We're
he did
speculating.
it because everything else didn't work. And to be fair, the interview where he calls out Sancho, it was
Now, if you
almost
tell
innocent. It was almost like, yeah, he wasn't practicing with us, blah blah blah. It was almost flippant, like it wasn't a big deal, but it was made into a big deal. Now it's Manchester United, everything gets made into a big deal.
yeah,
I understand that. But the thing is like I don't want to, so let's take a step back, right? You know how I blast United all the time because let's say it again, they're the worst run big club in world football. This should not be on the shoulders solely of Ten Hag. There should be vertically integrated leadership that comes from the top. They set the culture. The Glazers are a mess. They're absentee owners at worst and actively hurting the club at best. We have weak leadership above them. We don't even know who the director of football is. We have weak leadership at the executive level. And so Ten Hag is now in this position where he's trying to develop a culture at this club of accountability, of 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 growing men and trying to make this team work. He clearly didn't want Ronaldo. They bought him. Actually, he was sorry. That was Ole even said it. Ole just did an article, a conversation where he said, "Oh, we bought Ronaldo and it was a mistake." That was the manager before Ten Hag, right? Because I think Ronaldo was too big for this team. It wasn't strong
well,
enough. It wasn't in a good place, and he sucked all the energy towards it. And he like Fernandez got worse because he deferred. Everyone was deferring, right? So
okay,
anyway,
but
but that's
no,
that.
no, no, but that's part of the conversation now. That's
Mm.
part because what's Ten Hag's problem with the locker room. So now Cristiano pointed something out that you pointed out. He said this club is not what I was when I played here.
Oh,
It's run poorly,
what's
and
worse,
they have no expectations.
it was
You
the
know,
same as when he was there and he had been gone for 10 years. That's the bigger indictment.
well, I think what he meant is that obviously this team is like they don't have expectations. They don't. It's not united that goes anywhere and is feared. And everybody, when you go to Spain and play Barcelona, you go to Real Madrid. The newspaper is the Red Devils are in town, even though they play against these clubs. So it's not the same aura. It's not. So there was unorganized in this club, and he has been for a long time. So Cristiano's pointing this out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And but the easiest thing is also I know what you said that he is to a certain extent bigger than the club, and it's like, but it's also easy to say, hey man, this dude is too much. He's not for the
Well,
team. We need
I
to get
I
him out. It's
I
easy now.
I think that with Cristiano, well, we don't have to. I don't want to go too deep into Cristiano. Ultimately, he was unable to press anymore. And
Man,
so
that
that listen, I'm just saying that's how teams are playing now, and he does not do that. In fact, he didn't do it. He didn't defend when he was the best player in the world, right? He never tracked back ever. And everyone knows it, and everyone said it, and he would say it himself, but like, that's not what I do. You just give me the ball. Don't worry about it. Now, at the later stages of his career, he was no longer give me the ball. Don't worry about it. It was I'm in the box. Get me the ball when I'm there. Right. And he could
Right.
still finish, but the team wasn't good enough to sustain his desire to score goals because it was taking away from everyone else. And you can ask any United fan, that was a
Yeah.
fact. The whole thing slowed to a halt to get him the ball because he couldn't get past anyone anymore. He couldn't dribble past anyone anymore. He needed the ball served to him all the time. And when the ball came past, guys who should shoot would pass him the ball. And that was the reason. And that's why Ten Hag needed him to go, because he was like, I cannot have this guy on my team.
Okay.
If this organization is expecting me to run the entire thing because there's nothing else, I can't have this guy in the middle of it, even if he's great, because I can't do what I need to do based on the support I see here. That's really how I think about it. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't like he's bad. It's just I can't do what I need to do if he's here saying we don't do it that way because
So
I
Ten
need to
Hag.
be in charge.
So Ten Hag can't deal with somebody like Ronaldo. He can't deal with nobody like Sancho. Which okay. I mean, somebody that shows up late that's disruptive. I get that.
Sancho
But
is not without blame at all.
no,
And so is Ten
not at
Hag.
all.
Ten Hag's
Not at
not
all.
perfect. I'm not saying he's perfect.
Okay,
It's
so
hard.
now you got Maguire that is probably the most not problematic player
He
in the
is not.
history of
He's a
football.
good dude.
That
He
you can
shows up and he gets blasted and he shows up
you
again.
can get blasted. He can get blasted for 1,000 hours straight on media, social media,
All day.
radio, television, and he will not say a word, right?
Mhm.
And he is your captain. Now,
Was.
no, well, okay, what was the captain? So, but what I'm saying is, switching to Bruno Fernandes hasn't really made a difference, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
No.
So you brought that on yourself on their preseason. Preseason, nobody's talking about United at all for the first time in 1,000 years, and you decide to do this. Aside from Onana's situation, yelling at him, etc. So now that's another situation. Ten Hag has brought a lot of this on himself.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think that there's a philosophical issue that he's brought onto himself. This desire to play, for lack of a better word, the Ajax way, whatever that
well,
Dutch
that can't.
style is,
Yeah,
right? Meaning I can't have my left center back be right-footed, which is Maguire's problem. He's a left center back who
yeah.
plays with his right foot. I can't have
But
my all-time leading shot stopper who won the Golden Glove but can't pass be my
that's another one.
goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
Even though it was working. They led the league in clean sheets. He made him, and he makes mistakes now and again. He probably lost the Sevilla game, probably lost the FA Cup for them. That's a fact, right? That happened. But he also had been on a team for 15 years or 10 years and was the goalkeeper for the last championship team that Sir Alex Ferguson had. And he does stop everything, and he has been player of the season. So in terms of Ten Hag wants to stamp the team, he's like, I need to get rid of Cristiano. He's a non-mobile striker aging. He has to go. I need to get rid of Harry Maguire. He's a he doesn't play the build-up the way I want. I need to get rid of De Gea. He can't play out from the back. I need to put Sancho aside because I need to have my guy Anthony on the side because I don't want to play Rashford and Sancho together. You know, all these things that are he's trying to stamp his team, and he picks fights and he's trying to raise. I get what he's doing. Like, I understand it. Is he doing it great? No, because right now he's now alienated Sancho. But if in the end he ends up in control of the team and the players do what he wants and they can start winning, then I think he has a pot to piss in. The problem is they still play bad.
Exactly. It hasn't worked at
not
all.
working.
So you're trying to play unbelievable football, but maybe that's not what you need right now.
The
So
personnel does not match with what he wants to do.
he's putting his personal wishes before the team, and that is a big problem because I feel like you need to win however it comes at this point.
Or
You
that is
still had
what they
a
hired him
plan.
for. Or that is what they hired him for. Right? This team
Yeah.
might be more suited, and I don't think this is true, to Simeone or to Conte or to one of these type of winning players versus this kind of controlled Dutch style. Or it might be more suited to a Postacoglu who's just like, you know what? I go with the flow. I'm just here to win. Let's play ball. I'll roll it out, and I have a style that I want to play. It's going to be hard, but I'll back you guys, and I'm a brush of fresh air, and it's different. I get the feeling that Ten Hag is a coach who has the mentality of a Simeone, but wants to play like Postacoglu,
Well,
right?
that makes to me he's lost.
Where it's intense, it's structured, it's rule based, it's trigger based, it's very ordered, but
Yeah,
it needs to be flowing. That
but
personality doesn't mix together unless you're Pep Guardiola, who's magic. I don't know how the hell he does what he does.
but if you want to have such a structured football, then Maguire is key. He is the most squared player in the history of football,
Yeah.
and you definitely don't want to have a Rashford that does whatever he wants to a certain extent. You don't like. You shouldn't want these players that
Yeah,
just
but
dribble away. You know what I mean?
but
I
then
mean,
you don't want Anthony,
but
right? Anthony's a
Anthony,
loose
which is
cannon.
having
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this is going to go, but it was interesting to kind of see because I saw this. And it was a pattern with different players. I'm not saying that Ten Hag is bad, but I just don't know that he is the man. And at this point, I don't even know if you need to. I don't even know who you can bring. But
There isn't anyone, right? The answer is De
yeah,
Zerbi.
no, and that could be a good one. However, we're gonna say let's talk about this Zerbi though,
Yeah.
because uh, he's your guy, and apparently Real Madrid is looking to because Ancelotti it has been rumored that he's going to join Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's kind of a
It's like an
fact rumor.
unspoken secret.
Yeah, and his contract ends at the end of the year. So Real Madrid is scouting managers, and this De Zerbi has risen from out of nowhere. I
Basically,
think I think he's good. He's done a tremendous job.
yeah.
I'm not for sure he's earned a spot to be at Real Madrid.
No, I agree. I think it won't work. I think you have Alonso written there. I think Xavi Alonso is really the guy.
Xavi
And
Alonso
I, and
could
I
be.
say that because just the nature of Real Madrid is that it's very star driven. It's very one of our own. If you think about Xavi Alonso under Mourinho, under Benitez, under Pep, now managing a big team in Germany and Leverkusen, clearly doing the right things. Depends how they finish this year. They'll probably have a top four finish for sure in the Bundesliga. I think that's a good win. And when he walks into the dressing room at Real Madrid, no one's going to go, "Who the fuck are you?" Right? Which is what is going to happen to De Zerbi, right? De Zerbi is
Yeah,
going to walk into that dressing room and people are going to go, "Who the hell are you?" Right?
exactly.
The only way it would work for De Zerbi is if Brighton win the Europa League, then I think he can walk in, right? Because then he has a trophy. He has I won something. Now, that might not be enough where the players will be like, Europa League? This is Real Madrid. We won 14 Champions League.
No, yeah, that ain't
What are you
gonna happen.
doing, right? Like that would be like if it would sort of be he'd kind of be on the Unai Emery path where Unai Emery went to PSG and they really didn't respect his work he did with Sevilla, right? Or Villarreal, whatever Valencia. I can't remember which
Of
team he won,
Villarreal, I
where
believe.
he won the three Europa Leagues in a row. Um, so that's the interesting question. I think it's Alonso is gotta be like he's right in that Zidane lane where it's just like he's a good player, an all
Yeah,
timer, a Madrista, won the Champions League with them. Spanish, I think that makes a difference because culturally he fits in. He understands what Real Madrid means. The club won't be overawed. He's good looking. He's got the whole thing. De Zerbi smokes. He's crazy. He's got that Italian vibe.
hey,
I could see his intensity just eating him alive. I don't think he's ready for that, honestly.
yeah.
But I do think De Zerbi is the next manager, and his name's going to come up until it doesn't. Right? He might be the next
Do
United
you?
manager. He might be because teams are
Yeah,
looking for the next guy, right? Because Pep and Klopp aren't going to be around forever, and Ancelotti's not going to be around forever. Nagelsmann, I think, has been seen wanting. He's got the Germany job. Tuchel has, if you ask Manny on our chat, he's not a lover of Tuchel. He might be slipping. Pochettino, he's living on what he did for Spurs 6 years ago, but really what's going on right now? There's not a lot of superstar managers. There's really just the two that
yeah.
you feel are box office, no matter what, slam dunk winners. Although Conte is difficult.
Conte, where is he at right now?
He's at home, man. he's taking it. He's like taking it easy.
He's at home. I love his personality.
Yeah,
But
he's not fun.
crazy.
It's not fun to have him as your coach, though.
No, because he just plays just bad, man. I mean, he's just so defensive. He is a natural classic catenaccio Italian.
But the thing is, it can be attacking. The problem with Conte is he's not a European winner. In fact, he's a European choker, right? His teams do well when they have a week. He's a preparer. He's a coacher. He's a taskmaster. He's not a, it's kind of like it's these wing backs. It's 3 at the back, and that's how we play. And if you can't do it my way, then you don't play. Like when I think about someone like Yves Bissouma playing now under Ange and Postecoglou, and how Conte was like, "You're not good." I'm like, "Well, what football are you watching? Because this guy's incredible. That's on you.
Yeah.
You didn't see it. You didn't change. That's on you." I do, we did a lot. I do want to make sure we cover the week, though. I want to make sure, can I go through the schedule, make sure that we're on point? Yeah. Okay. Let me just make sure that I've got everything up and running before I run through it, because, I love my Premier League and I like to make sure we cover all the games because they're vital to my life. Okay. Like we talked about, Aston Villa, Brighton, my boy De Zerbi, could be a Real Madrid man, could be Emery versus Brighton. De Zerbi, really good at Villa Park. I don't know what'll happen there. City versus Wolves away. Bogey team, but City will light this team up. They can't score goals. Arsenal versus Bournemouth. If Arsenal don't win this game, they're not serious. Everton versus Luton. This is a big chance for Everton. At home against Luton. If you want to stay in the league, you need 3 points. Your boys, your mob, the Magpies, host Burnley. Burnley, they're not that good. I expect Newcastle to win this game without a problem. West Ham versus Sheffield. Someone's going to want the ball in this game. Sheffield coming off the 8-0. They're going to need a good performance, or Paul Heckenbottom is going to get fired. United, like we said, against Crystal Palace. They should win that. And then we discussed Tottenham versus Liverpool. That's a late game on Saturday. Then we have only one game on Sunday. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford at the City Ground. That's a good game. I expect Nottingham Forest to win that game because Brentford away, not good. Forest at home, good. Forest are the best of the second-year players. My guy, Steve Cooper. Maybe he's the next Man United manager. And then Monday Night Football, Fulham host Chelsea at Craven Cottage. And that will be match week 7's games. Chris, are there any games you want to go to talk about that I ran through?
Well, obviously, I'm going to keep an eye on Newcastle. But, I mean, the game of the week we talked about, it was the Liverpool Spurs. I think that's going to have everybody's attention. I don't know if the Premier League does that on purpose, but every week there's a match that
yes, they do it on purpose.
Every week there's a match that's doing pretty well.
They also have the 6 teams, and then other teams create stories, right? Like Brighton weren't a team that you talk about along with Aston Villa, but they've forced themselves into the story. So that's the great thing about the Premier League. I'm going to really keep an eye on that Chelsea-Fulham game on a Monday night.
Well, Chelsea needs to win back. Needs to win. That's our next topic too. Chelsea. They need to get back on the road with the Premier League, and I'm not. I mean, I saw good things, with Brighton, but
listen, this is the thing. The numbers for Chelsea, they're actually good. This is the bizarre
what numbers?
Thing. The expected goals versus the underlying numbers, like how many shots they've taken, how many times you'd expect those to be goals. They're underperforming what the eye test shows. They should be better. Should be better. They've scored 5 less goals than you'd expect, which is like shocking. You just even if it was 1 or 2, it would be fine. But they've been good on the eye. Like everything they're doing is right, but they don't have that focal point to score goals. Just like I say with Wolves. Wolves are doing everything right, but then Mateus Cunha jumps in the air and the ball hits him in the stomach. Burnley are doing everything right up until that final ball when they don't even have any. I couldn't even name who their striker is or how they were going to do it. I was just like, just get the ball to Koleosho and hopefully they'll score a goal. So be careful when you watch Newcastle. Keep an eye. I want you to keep an eye on my friend Koleosho. He's from Connecticut, Italian Nigerian, but I think he can play for the U.S. maybe. But that's the thing we're looking for is like, can you score? Like Chelsea just need to score, and they're not even going to have Jackson for this game because he Nico Jackson because he's on a suspension.
So Frank Leboeuf, is that how you say his last name?
Frank Leboeuf from the French national team.
Yeah, he came out today and spoke about Todd Boehly, and he said that he will kill the club, and says he is disgusted with fall from grace of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Now he spent in dollars over $800 million. I know people like to throw the billion word, which is almost there, regardless. £1 billion.
A lot.
He spent a lot. What I mean, ultimately, I don't think it's Todd Boehly's fault. I just don't.
Whose fault is it?
The players and the coaches that actually go to the match and supposed to perform. Listen, you prepare the week. It's the coach. It's the coach that prepares the week. The players go in the pitch. You know,
right. I think. Sorry. I understand what you're saying.
Week by week is him. It's not. It's what is Boehly doing that would say it's going to kill Chelsea? Like
I'll take. Well, let's take a step back. The issue is narrative. You had one owner in Roman Abramovich. You can say what you want about him from a personal standpoint, what he supported, whatever, Ukraine. Fine. He got his money by stealing it from the Russian people. That's fine. He bought Chelsea Football Club and immediately took the culture that existed, put money into it, and created a winning culture that did not accept losing at any cost, right? Goes from Mourinho. Oh, you didn't win the Champions League? You're fired, right? Oh, you don't like it? Ancelotti? You set the record for points in a season? You didn't win a Champions League? You're fired, right? Rafa Benitez, you think you're good? You're fired, okay? So the goal was to win the Champions League. The goal was to win things. And with that process, they won all the time because there was stability at the top level. Abramovich in charge, Marina Garniskaya in charge, Buck as the chairman. That part was working. They invested a lot in youth players and were churning out players that they could sell, right? So that was one thing. The problem is that something has changed. The club was sold, and now they're not winning, right?
Yeah, but how is that Boehly's fault?
Because he's now in charge, and he's buying players in a way that everyone knows. Anyone who's a football person knows you cannot turn over a team like that.
Yeah,
in that manner.
Yes,
it doesn't work. There's no strategy.
But how do we know he is the one saying? If Todd Boehly is the one saying, you know what, I bought this club, I'm going to get all these players.
Because he was in the first year, he was acting as the director of football. He was making the deals personally.
Okay, so now we assume that that he was.
Hopefully
that's what he's
not
doing
happening.
Now.
Hopefully not happening.
So, but okay. I also look at it from this perspective. So the players that Chelsea has, they're not they shouldn't be a mid-table team.
No, they should not. They are actually playing a team that should not be. Yes.
So I'm not saying that they should win the Premier League or forget all that. So when are you going to blame the coach that had a nice preseason and that has had time? They need to be player better. You're going to tell me that Spurs had better players when he was with the Spurs than this?
No,
maybe Kane. You got Son.
I think that there's we just have to go back and really think about what happened. We had the Potter era come in, and they played okay under Potter after Tuchel was fired for basically saying to Boehly, "I'm not dealing with your bullshit." They should have kept Tuchel, frankly. They went through a window where they got players for Tuchel, and then 8 weeks in, they fired him. So you have a team of players that had won the Champions League, and they had added Raheem Sterling, and they fired him because Tuchel was running the team and saying, "Please don't sign Cristiano Ronaldo. You will mess up everything I'm doing. Don't do that." So he couldn't deal with that, right? And then they bring in Potter, and Potter comes in and he has his team, and they play okay at first because he's trying to. And then they have that January window where Boehly is in charge and he buys 15 players in the window, completely disrupts the team, buys players based on that their individual stocks, not really understanding concepts of putting players in positions to play the way they want to play. And the whole thing starts to break down. Then he bows to the fans because they're starting to go, oh, this is Boehly's fault. So he fires Potter so that they don't bother him. And what does he do? He hires the least successful, least competent coach in the Premier League in Frank Lampard, who was completely not ready for this
But
job.
he was an interim coach. He wasn't a
But
signing.
they got even worse. So that he fires Potter, puts in Frank Lampard, who we know can't coach, and they only win one
Right.
game after they fire Potter. And they put in Lampard because he knew the fans would not turn on him because he was one of their own. So that's the thing that's gross about Boehly, and that's why they don't like him. It's the PR, it's the thinking you know more, it's the idea that you're an American and you're going to run this team the way American sports are run, where you can run the Dodgers and buy the best players and someone will figure it out. It's not baseball. The team needs to be structured in a manner for the players and the way that they play. And you asked Potter to do it. He was found wanting. Then you hid behind the Lampard hiring, and now you're hiding behind the Pochettino firing, and people are hiring, and people are starting to point the finger at Pochettino when he just bought another 25 players that don't go together.
But to be honest, I don't even know if people are pointing the finger at Pochettino. I think
Not yet, but they
everybody's pointing
will.
at Boehly.
They
But
should.
ultimately, I mean, he has to make this team play better.
He's got to.
I just don't understand how we can in this world and we are blaming. To be honest with you, yeah, he is the boss of everybody, and he technically is at fault for everything that happens, even if it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, the players got to go out there, show some balls, and win a damn game.
I think fans and football punditry in general seems to discount and sort of sees the iceberg. The top of the iceberg is the players, the teams, and the coach, right? And the lineup. Underneath is everything else. And I think what makes football clubs successful more often than not is everything else, right? Right? It's the structure underneath that makes things work. Manchester United have not been working because everything else isn't working. It's not the 5 managers they hired. Brighton is working because everything else is really good, and then you put the cherry on top of De Zerbi. Brentford is working because you put the cherry on top and everything's working. This Newcastle experiment is working because they did not overhaul the team. They did not buy 25 players. They did not spend $500 million. They spent logically,
But
smartly, with the coach that made sense, and their hierarchy is slowly putting the team together in a way that works and letting Howe develop the players so that there's an ethos and a club of like, this is what we do at Newcastle. Not everyone who is at Newcastle is shit. Now I'm bringing in new players, and those guys don't know what it means to be a Newcastle player. Dan Burn knows what it means to be from Newcastle.
yeah,
Longstaff knows what it means.
but I've also, I mean, myself, including with other people that talk about Newcastle, we said this team doesn't have a damn star, and that's what they need. So
That's what they need
or
now.
a few
That's what they need now. And
yeah,
they're
but
going to build up to it.
But it's not the same. Chelsea is a big club, established big club. Newcastle, I say,
None
is a
of
big
those
club,
players
but
care about that team at all
well, then, but listen,
because they
man,
have no connection
that's
to it. Reece James does, and he's the
look,
only one.
where
Honestly,
we just go. We can't hire fans. I mean, we're gonna I want to hire everybody that comes out of West London. Are we gonna no?
no, but you need spirit. Like there's quantifiable things that we can measure: your speed, your touch, your goals, all that stuff. There is an intangible, right? There is fandom. There's connecting to the supporters, the way that you would say that Newcastle have that connection, and Liverpool and Liverpool has that connection from Klopp. You've got to have those sinews have to connect, and I don't know how that's done. That's magic. That like Postecoglou just did it immediately. I don't know how he did it. I don't know what the magic is. It's winning. It's playing right. It's clapping at the right time. I don't know what all that piece is, but what I know from what I see is Chelsea are disconnected. The players are disconnected from each other. The fans are not connected to Pochettino, and I'm sure as hell know that
Yeah.
Stamford Bridge is not connected to Boehly. They want him
Nobody's
out.
connected. Let me tell you this: nobody's connected to their owner. Look at every club. Nobody is. Not United. Not.
That's fine. That I agree. But you need them to not be. They need to be quiet and not part of the process. You don't want to think
Maybe
about
so.
your owner, right? Like
That
it
is true.
happened with Arsenal. Arsenal during the dark times were always Kroenke out, get rid of the Kroenke. They suck. We'll never win with the Kroenkes. Arteta said, "I got this. Let's get everyone on side. Let's move things forward." Now no one talks about the Kroenkes, right? Winning cures everything.
That
But
is
you've got
true.
to show progress, right? I think the thing that's happening with Chelsea is they're playing better, but the wins aren't coming. They just need like 3 or
Yeah,
4 wins in the league, and
and that's
everything will
it.
quiet down.
And that's it. And that's it. And but when they win, if they win 300 games in a row, nobody's gonna
Talk
come out
about
and
Bowley.
say
No,
Todd Boehly.
No, 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 no,
Nobody's gonna do that.
no.
So
But
that
they
is
will
my
if they
problem.
lose.
But that is my problem.
Yes.
Focus on the damn players, and the
Yeah, I
players
know.
focus
I
on their
understand
thing.
what you're saying, but
So
it's never one thing. It's very nuanced. There's a lot of
yeah,
stuff going on. Like I said, Chelsea are a startup club. They are basically the name is there, the badge is there, the building is there. They're in the blue shirts, but nothing is Chelsea from Abramovich. It's all gone.
yeah. I
They're
mean,
starting from zero.
as expected, to be honest with you. I mean,
Hmm.
you got fans also need to educate themselves. You can't just, whatever.
They go to the game and yell.
Yeah.
Most of them.
So just to finish off this nice show, let's talk about this Osman thing, man. He might
Oh,
be coming to the Premier League. Arsenal, Chelsea involved. Also rumors, but
you know what I always think whenever I think of, and this is the Italian league's fault. Whenever I think of an African player in the Italian league, I just think there's some thing underneath. I'll just say that.
I don't agree with that.
I
Just
know, I know.
because
That's just what I think. I just
we
don't
can't,
trust them to be on the up
but
and up.
we just you can't make everything about
I know, I
racism.
know,
I
I
mean,
know, I know.
what
I'm saying
anything of the video.
that was my
No, that's
immediate
fine.
thinking. Yeah,
What I'm saying is the video. Obviously, number one, whoever is part of social media is a
fire them.
damn idiot. Because just simply when I look at that, I don't think of racism. I just look at the dude. You're making fun of our own damn player. Why would you? I mean, you trying to go viral? What are you trying to do? And that's that. Now the player complained. Of course, take the video down. The player is trying to sue. I just don't understand how everything goes that far. Now he showed up to training, didn't talk to his teammates. I don't know what the hell they have to do with it. And now all of a sudden he's refusing to celebrate a goal after scoring. Um, I feel like
Nothing,
everything is taken out of
nothing in
proportion.
Naples ever works. It's just
Yeah,
you got De Laurentiis, who's one of the more difficult owners to deal with in terms of selling players. They won the league under Spalletti, and he was just grumpy the whole time. Now he's the Italy coach. He's such an ornery coach, and now they have a new coach, and it just doesn't seem to. Is it? It's Rudy Garcia, right? Do I have the wrong club?
let me.
I don't remember who's managing. I
It
lost
was
track.
Rudy Garcia. Yeah,
Oh, it is Garcia. Okay. And Garcia's a good coach. He had some good times with Roma, but he doesn't strike me as being connected. Napoli is a special club where you've got to connect. If you don't connect, you lose the fans and they go nuts. It's
right.
another one of these teams that's very particular.
Really,
Yeah.
really tough and
Yeah.
passionate.
And particular, and I don't know the right button to press, but it's got to be connected. And you know what they're going through? And this is a very, very famous saying that Pat Riley in a book Butch said, it's the disease of more. When your team wins the title, how do they handle the winning? Everybody wants a new
It's
contract. Everybody
yeah.
wants more minutes. Karashvili is not happy. Osimhen's not happy. Everything starts to break down. Spalletti wanted more money. Everything wants more and more and more. Oh, we won the
It,
title first time since
it's
1990.
called the delusion of grandeur, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Napoli wins a player. All of a sudden, people start showing him with different shades, with different type of clothes, different type of car. And in reality, you did a great season. Great. Same with
Unlucky.
Brighton. And now Napoli is probably bigger than Brighton, of course.
Yes,
But
much bigger.
but what I'm trying to say is they're not used to winning, right? They're not used to winning. And if Brighton finish top four or go potentially some at some someday win the Premier League. It's now the next year people are going to be acting all crazy, and you
Mhm.
can't do that, man. You got to stay on the ground and
Yeah, and that's why when we started the season and did the preview, I didn't think City would win again because I thought that maybe that Champions League, maybe that treble would be too much.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they clearly are just like, we don't care, we're going again, and that's a testament to the players. That's a testament to Pep. That's a testament to the organization. But it's clear that Napoli don't have that.
yeah.
Anyway,
That is true. Anyways, that was it for football tonight. Hey, no Messi, no party, man. Oh my gosh, Messi out. It's not Atlanta United. Was like they made me laugh. They were like, next time when they played next time bring the whole team, and it was Messi the only one missing. But when they beat them, but anyways, that was a good show. Football tonight. Lorraine Cortines, Chris Rodriguez here on Top FC. Thank you so much for listening or watching on the radio station. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you next
come
time.
on, City.
City, who they play? Oh, it's gonna be a cakewalk.
Yeah, it's Wolves.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, no, the
We
puppies.
we already stole their best player,
The puppies.
Nunez.
Puppies. It's City versus puppies this weekend. Newcastle, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Up to Clarets.
Yep. See you
I
later.
love me my
Bye.
Blues.